Hello there and welcome back to War Thunder. Today I want to talk about the KV-220 once more. So in the past I did a tank review on it. In the past few days Mike Goes Boom released a video on this tank. And I have several missions in the game to collect some drop boxes and whatnot. And to win some games with Survivor Award and so forth to get the hats. And to fulfill the Warbond missions that I'm always after. And I think, give this tank another chance. I have not played this very good tank, in fact, often enough as it deserves it. It has been a reward tank in one of the summer or winter events, and it was the final award, so to speak. And since then, the tank has earned a reputation for being quote-unquote overpowered. And I think this tank is in fact very, very strong, especially in the hands of a very good player. Not necessarily me, but, other people. Because, I'm a bad player. Okay, now to the facts, it's a Soviet heavy tank, reward premium tank, at a battle rating of 5.7. And as such, it, is interesting for grinding. Now, recently Gaijin has introduced the marketplace where you can trade certain things, and also you have introduced loot boxes. And that, led to an incident where one person evidently, made an offer for 800 Gaijin coins, which equals $800. That's over 650 euros. For a single tank, and prices on this market are rising even higher. And the basic message of this video is, yes, this tank is fun, this tank is amazing, but wow, it is not worth $800. I mean, people can buy cars, real life cars for that. It's not the finest cars, but they can do it. And I think the real winners are just Gaijin, because when even you can purchase such a tank from another player with Gaijin coins, the thing is, you then have this tank. And let's just talk about the worst case scenarios. Let's just say this tank gets spammed out because everybody and his mother wants this tank. Understandably, it has a certain reputation. The thing is, it's not a fun tank to play against. It's fun to play for a certain while, but it teaches you bad habits and so forth. And while you can easily one-shot enemy tanks with your 85mm gun that shoots APHE-BC, which is just simply more effective than the AP-CBC shells that, for example, the German tanks fire, you can see where this leads. Now, this battle has it all. A lot of kills, a lot of bounces, being up-tiered against 6.7, fighting Tiger 2s, which I have no chance against, yada yada yada. But, normal Tigers, in this comparison, I think you have every benefit compared to a normal Tiger in a 1 versus 1. And in theory, they can kill you, but it's always a question if it is possible or not. For example, every tank in the game can kill, for example, the M1 Abrams. But what makes the M1 Abrams so quote-unquote overpowered? It's a combination of speed, mobility and firepower. And in the hands of a good player, as you can see I'm not, because I bounced on the back of the turret of a Tiger 2, this tank becomes really lethal. And it is the same way with the KV-220. If you're an absolute noob, and in the wrong situation where you side on and so forth to an enemy that laid an ambush for you, you will die. But again, the tank can do amazing stuff. And so the only winners are really Gaijin here. And in the past, where I complained about a tank being too powerful, I also advertised it for players that didn't have any sort of interest in terms of balance for the game, just wanted to go for their own profit. And then they, for example, when I ranted about the i6 and made a tank review on it, showed the gameplay, people went out and bought it, leading to an even greater spam. That was not my intention, but the result for some cases. yes, some people also were also complaining with me, you know, howling with the wolves and so forth. By the way, notice that this is a Ferdinand, and just in a second I will receive the second shot to my hull and the second bounce. So angling in this tank is highly effective, and I disabled his gun barrel. Now usually if the Ferdinand would stand in the open, just to talk a little bit about the gameplay, I would stay there and I would set him on fire a few times. He couldn't repair, and ultimately he would die. Even a very good tank like this. But I need to shoot at the hull, the lower glazes and the cheeks, which can easily penetrate despite their effective thickness being close to what the 85mm has in terms of raw penetration for the APHE BC shell. But we are firing APHE BC shell. And as I mentioned, for example, in my Object 268 video, the APHE BC shells, they have some magic going for them. So at this point in time in the battle, it's basically over. We have the city with both capture zones, we have reinforcements coming in, we're slaughtering the enemy one by one, they cannot get out of their zone, and yes, this is a bit of, well, spawn pushing. It's not spawn camping, it's completely different, because spawn camping doesn't exist in the game. Yeah, I hope you understood this right. So, I think the KV 220 is a powerful tank. It's just bringing in the result. It's easy mode, it's forgiving, it's reliable. When you shoot at something, it, well, gets killed. And you get actually very rarely in an up tier. So that means the really dangerous tanks that you have to face, like for example British 6.7, I never fought it once, so you don't have to deal with APDS and stabilizers. And you can also still bounce, you know, long 88s if you are angled appropriately and they don't shoot, for example, your turret or your cupola. And in those situations, the tank is, when it's top tier, for example, it's outright overpowered. I mean, then there comes the discussion, what is overpowered? Does it even, is there even a tank in the game that is overpowered? Is everything balanced? So it's up to your personal impressions, your personal opinions. This is where you cannot really present the facts with a simple stat card like I like to do it in my tank reviews when I compare horsepower to ton ratio or, you know, the rate of fire. Those are facts. The Matchmaker is not made with facts, and it doesn't work. The Matchmaker doesn't work. In fact, it's rigged towards one side. Remember when the what was it? When the French tanks came out, how nice it was to play with them and so forth. And yeah, just look at this hull down Tiger, and he turns the turret a little bit and I shoot into the side of the turret because APHE BC, and then we aim again for the cupola and say it with me, APHE BC. Ah, it's fantastic. Another cupola appears. Let's see how it goes. Oh, let's aim for the turret. And we penetrate the Panther, infamous for, you know, not getting penetrated on the turret front because APHE BC. And our cupola, well, doesn't get penetrated because APCB CBCCCB capping thing that doesn't work. And another cupola. Ouch. So I make it look like easy, yeah? But that's to a certain degree down to the fact that I know my stuff, I know my Russian tanks, I know my German tanks, and yeah, 10 kills like that. You usually don't get 10 kills due to the pure fact that most of the time there are not enough enemy targets there to be farmed like that. And maybe they underestimated me, maybe they didn't know where to shoot me, because for the average player the KV 220 is not visible in the normal game. So you cannot look into the armor view. This is why I actually also do some of the armor review by myself. This is important. to understand this. And watch this shot on the Wirbelwind. I just can see the top, but the shell, of course it goes off. And granted me my 11th kill. Of course it goes off, because short fuse. Unlike, for example, the German 28mm on the long 88, which leads to a lot of over penetrations. And, well, again, the battle is actually effectively over. So what do we learn from this? Gaijin implements tanks that are reward vehicles, that are overpowered, quote unquote. And, you know, this is a long story. And, well, then they get hyped, people want to get their hands on them, and Gaijin offers it with loot boxes. And in general, that is a good opportunity for people that absolutely want it. And if you are a rich person, you know, you can support the game, making it still free to play for everybody of us, securing that the game stays active, you know, and we can play it for months and years to come. That is good. The bad thing is, what if you are a collector? What if you are addicted and you don't know your limits, and nobody of your friends can control you when you sit in front of the PC, and you just happen to, I don't know, buy hundreds, even thousands of Gaijin coins to then waste them on a digital item? One. This is where Gaijin failed. They didn't make any limits. I'm sorry about the desynchronization of the sound. I have no idea what is wrong as of late with Shadowplay, but I hope I could make it okay-ish good enough. So, yeah, that is the KV-220 for you. And for our flat out 12 kills, no kill assist, 9 critical hits, we got 106,000 silver lions and 8,400 research points. And also a survivor award, heavy metal hero, and another loot box, drop box, whatever. And first in place with over 3,000 score points. This tank is an absolute killing machine. And if you get up tiered once in 5 battles to 6.7 and you are still competitive due to your armor, speed and firepower, what can you complain about? So I think this is now taking a direction that I don't like. If there are enough people that actually go for this tank, and if they're actually dropping enough loot boxes containing this, and they get sold on the Gaijin market and so forth, and we'll see a spam of this tank, it destroys the battle rating. And this is true for other rare vehicles that, for example, I thought would stay rare and unique for the one event where I spent days, literally days of, you know, playing my ass off to get them. And so I am not sure what to think about. It's not a direction that I like that Gaijin takes. That they break the game even more for the short profit term instead of the long balance. Let me know in the comment section what you think about this topic, and give the video a like if you agree or you just simply like the gameplay, and subscribe if you want to see more. We will see each other on the battlefields of War Thunder.